Hello everyone, it's John Doyle from OptixEQ, and today's video race of the day, we're going to go to the great race place at Santa Anita. It's going to be race 3 on Friday, January the 7th. And a couple of things. The reason I picked this race is a client mailed it in with his analysis and asked me what I thought about it. And also, Emily Gullickson, my colleague, partner here at Optics, picked this as her race of the day for OptixFOCUS. And so I thought it'd be interesting to see what they said and kind of compare notes on it. Again, this is an information platform. People might arrive at different conclusions, and let's see where we end up. If you want to get the OptixFOCUS race of the day, and it's for Santa Anita every day that Santa Anita runs, you go to the home page in the bottom right, you see it says OptixFOCUS. You click that icon, and it'll bring up Santa Anita, and you select the day you want. So this is going to be Friday, January 7th. So we'll look at that as we go along. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to kind of do, and what I did here is I kind of did two things side by side, right? I got the plot on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, I got Emily's assessment of the race in focus. So I thought that would be good to have it as comparison as we go along. So the first thing I want to do is just take a look at the plot, and it's a red plot fit. It says it's got high contention and speed ratings above 45. The one thing I noticed though, it says high contention. This is where it's interesting, right? Pace is very interesting. We really only have one horse that's an E horse, but most of the other horses are PCC. So you can have a contentious race even though you don't have early pace horses. It looks like the 9 is going to be the morning line favorite, and we'll get to him in a moment. But so that was the first thing that jumped at me. We got a red plot, high contention, speed rating, kind of a mismatch of run styles you would expect on a high contention speed rating race. So to me, it's the difficult race, and so I agree 100% with Emily's race label of contentious. Hard to eliminate horses. Horses' recent form. I would even almost border on chaotic a little bit. And her recommendation is a spread in this race. So that must mean she doesn't like the favorite. So let's go down and let's look at the grid. Well, before we go to grid, let's see what her assessment is of the 9. Yeah, so you can see that she has this horse at, again, the blue is our odds or Emily's odds in this race. It's 5-1. She thinks is fair value on the horse versus the morning line 8-5. So right away I could see that she thinks the favorite is vulnerable. Okay, so let's go to the grid. Take a look at that. Let me just see what my grid is. Okay, pull the grid up here. I'm going to look at the number 9. See, and you can see in her probably descriptings, but I just wanted to bring the grid up so I can see it too. So it looks to me that this horse has a lot of red. And so that's one thing concerning, right? Lone bias, it seems like some of the good races had some advantages. Sometimes couldn't even take advantage of a lone. So this horse looks like he does, even though this horse is run from off the pace and won, looks like he does his best running on the front end. And if you remember, we'll go back and look at the plot. Didn't look like he had like a clear front running advantage in this race. The other thing that's not necessarily great on this horse is that these layoffs. Don't like this lack of recency. This horse hasn't, even though he's a 7-year-old, he really hasn't run that much. And he's had 2 consecutive races where he has a 60-day layoff. I find that very negative, right? It's hard for them to get to the race. Now, Mandela is very capable, and having Pratt get on this horse, that's great. Great for us because it'll take more money. But I don't think they're showing a lot of confidence off a no finish, where this horse was running for an optional 80 to a claiming 25. To me, 7-year-old, there's lots of negatives. We're going to take our chances against this horse, and I think our client assessed it the same way, and so did Emily. So I think they're right on with their assessment of the favorite in this race. So let's look at some others in here. Let's look at the 1, because I know Emily had this horse as a value horse. Now, the morning line on this horse is 15-1. Emily's fair odds on this horse is 5. So that's really significant. So we really want to pay attention to this horse, okay? And you see where he plots kind of in the middle. So a good plot. Again, hard to read the plot because it just seems a little bit chaotic to me with the red fit. But still, a reasonable plot in this race. And let's go to the grid on this horse. I'll bring the grid up back up. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I could see. First things first. This horse is running from much less at Turfway. I'm sorry, that's Turf Paradise, and had trouble. So it is an EX. When you see an EX, you can cross a line to that race. Okay. So even though it's against less, and maybe this is good, and that the horse's form is dirtied up. Um, versus last. Looks like she was fifth, beaten 10 lengths. This is pretty good. The fact that you can draw a line to that race. Go back down to previous races, and Emily's still looking for a drop. She does the notes for Santa Anita here, so this horse is really not getting a drop. But it looks like this horse could run in the mid 80s, mid to high 80s, right? This looks like the horse has done this before. And the other thing I noticed about this horse at the 9 furlong, which is today's distance, this horse kind of ran his best speed figure ever, 92 against a lot better horses. So that's in the past. But I just wanted to understand if this horse is capable of running, a good race at 9 furlongs, which is what she gets today. And so if we could excuse the last one and we could consider the one prior being a prep, because that's what Emily thought, yeah, it may be a little bit class is kind of on the borderline with this horse, but 15-1 seems high. Now, I'm probably not as aggressive as Emily with the 5-1. I might be more in the 8-1 range for this horse, but still, this horse looks like a value play, and I think our client assessed it the same way. So number one, East Ran in a spread. This horse looks like a good horse to include. The other one that Emily seems to be really high on is Family Biz. Uh, Not really high on, but she just think this horse can outrun its odds as a long shot. So she's not saying this horse is going to win. She's just saying that this is double digits, and this horse may be able to outrun the odds. Um, I was a little less keen on this horse, and the reason why is, it doesn't have much turf form. It's all dirt. But Emily thought two back that this horse might be better on turf. It's just that this horse is a dirt horse, and his recent dirt races have been terrible. So now this is the third time in the Mullins barn, gets bays. I don't know. Just for me, this horse seems like a long shot. I don't know if he's going to outrun his odds or what, but Emily thinks so, and I always kind of respect her opinion. So that was the 3. The other one that I thought looked okay was the 4, if you're going to spread, I mean, especially. And the only thing, again, this horse is, I don't like the double layoff, but it's another horse that could probably run in the upper 80s, mid to upper 80s, which would give him a shot. And I really kind of like the jockey change to a hot riding Johnny Velasquez. He's over in Southern California. He's doing some good stuff nowadays. And let's look at the other. Remember, I always tell you it's important to look at other. Just seems like the note here is this is a high-headed runner. So, something to think about there. But I'm not sure if you see it down here is shorter. That was at 11 furlongs. I don't know if 9 furlongs is right for this horse, but if you're spreading, he might be kind of a B on my tickets, but it's a horse to consider. And then the 6 was another one, and I think our client was also on this one. Um, this horse again, just like I said, they're very contentious. You can see the speed figures kind of clumped up. That is a 9-year-old, second off a layoff. Um, and I just, I'm not going to argue with this horse. Like I said, if you're spreading here, this is another one you might want to include. Okay. The other horse I thought was a little bit interesting in here was the number 8 Builder. Okay. If you look at the plot on this horse, you can see that he's kind of standing alone in quadrant 1, and he's not an E horse. Okay. At least, that's not his preferred run style. But he can sit right off a pace and stuff. So let's say if the 9 goes for the lead, maybe the 8 can sit right off, or the 8 goes for the lead. He may be able to go pretty far. Now he looks a little cheap, but the thing to really notice on this horse is if you get rid of his dirt and synthetic races and you kind of focus on his turf races, they're pretty good, and he has some back class to kind of handle a field like today. So maybe he trips out a little bit, maybe just sits right off. We get lucky. 9 furlongs, he's won at that distance before, so it's not an impossibility. And he's another value horse at 8-1. First time in the O'Neill barn? No. Let's see. I'm just looking at turf races. No, this is the second time in the O'Neill barn. Getting back to probably a surface that he prefers. He's got to climb back up, but this isn't the toughest of fields. And just because he's moving up in class, because he was running on dirt, you might want to forgive that a little bit, and he may look a little dirtied up to more traditional handicapping people. So I think that's a horse you want to kind of use in your spread. So the other one I didn't mention, but it's probably going to be the second favorite. Another horse I'm not all that crazy about is the number 7. I mean, he's okay, but he's going to take money, and I don't like when you see a horse that's plotty, especially he's been running those long distances. Now he's going to cut back. He really doesn't have much in the way of speed. Um, he's he's definitely has class. It's been a long time since he's won. Another horse I want to kind of probably stand against in this race that's going to take money. So against the 7 and 9, like Emily and our client, and more with 1, 4, 6. Now Emily likes the 3 a little bit more than I do, but the 1, 4, 6, and 8 uh, are the ones that I'm going for in a spread in a very contentious race 3 at Santa Anita on Friday. Thanks for all the feedback. Keep them coming. Anything constructive criticism, check us out on Twitter at OptixEQ. Subscribe to this YouTube channel so you get the latest, and also visit us at OptixEQ.com. This is John Doyle. Thanks for listening.